What's up everyone, Bodies by Brendan here, and I'm going to give you 2 quick reasons why you should stop consuming artificial sweeteners. Aspartame can be found in NutraSweet, saccharin can be found in Sweet and Low, and sucralose can be found in Splenda. Additionally, these ingredients can be found in all sorts of different types of foods, gums, pops, energy drinks, and even syrups. And I'm going to pick on Walden Farms because there's a lot of people that seem to think that Walden Farms syrups that they put on their pancakes and waffles are good because they're 0 calories, so they're going to have no impact on your blood sugar levels. But I'm here to debunk that whole misconception. Stay tuned. All right, so how does this actually happen? So the mechanism that's involved when we consume these artificial non-caloric sweeteners is they actually alter the environment within our microbiome. So they alter the environment of the gut bacteria, the healthy bacteria and the pathogenic bacteria. So let's divide it basically into 2. So it's essentially good bacteria and bad bacteria. So the good, it's kind of a weird name. Bacteroides and Firmicutes. Essentially, these are the healthy bacteria, they're the good bacteria that we want, and these are the bad bacteria. What's really fascinating is that when people consume these artificial sweeteners, they actually have an increase and an elevation of the Firmicutes bacteria and a decrease of these healthy bacteria. As a result, the increased environment of these bad bacteria actually impede our ability to metabolize carbohydrates. Interesting. So I'm going to read a printout from one of the clinical studies that I wanted to research. Most bacteria colonizing the gut come from, again, 2 different divisions of bacteria, the Bacteroides and the Firmicutes. Clinical studies found that a reduced bacterial diversity with an elevated level of the Firmicutes and a decreased level of the Bacteroides have a decreased ability to metabolize carbohydrates. As a result, increased fat accumulation arises due to the inability to the breakdown of saccharides, being carbohydrates. This can be reversed through a dietary change from synthetic sweeteners to natural sweeteners and through the administration of a diverse probiotic. So what do you think about that? All right, so I'm going to get right into the goods. Here's another print up of a research clinical study that I was reading. So regular consumption of sugar-sweetened sodas might influence disease development, not only by straining the body's metabolic control of sugars, but also through accelerated cellular aging of tissues, said Prof. Alyssa Appel of the University of California, San Francisco. This study was published in the American Journal of Public Health, asked 5,309 healthy adults between the age of 20 and 65 with their consumption of fizzy drinks. Afterwards, they examined their DNA and their white blood cells. They found that telomeres, the protective DNA caps on each end of the chromosomes, were actually shorter in people who reportedly drank these fizzy drinks. So I'm going to explain what a telomere is so you have a visual example. So right here, that's a cell. And within that cell is the nucleus. In the nucleus, we have a chromosome, or many chromosomes, but for this I'm just going to show 1. And it looks kind of like this. Okay? Now this right here contains our DNA. These right here are the protective caps of the chromosomes, and they're called the telomeres. And what they're saying is the consumption of artificial sweeteners decrease and they break down the size of these lengths of our chromosomes, of the telomeres, which means essentially consumption of these artificial sweeteners increases our susceptibility and decreases our lifespan because it essentially alters the DNA. Make sense? Okay, following those two examples, I'm going to give you one more. I'm not going to go into a whole bunch of terminology or anything like that. I just want to give you more of a visual, just so you have an idea, and bear with my drawing. So pretend this is going to be a bicep, okay? So there's kind of the arm, there's the muscle, and there's the person's hand, okay? That's a big bicep. Bear with me. So when you consume glucose, carbohydrates, they need to be driven into the muscle for fuel essentially. Okay, and then obviously insulin is involved with that whole chemical process. But what happens is when you consume these artificial sweeteners, they essentially coat the glucose molecules. So it's almost like they retard the cell's receptor sites in our body to utilize that glucose. And with an ongoing consumption of these artificial sweeteners, we tend to, again, we lose the ability to actually use real glucose when we consume it. So we're consuming these artificial sweeteners. We're thinking that there's no calories, and technically there isn't, but as a result, when you do consume real sugars and real glucose, our body has the inability to utilize them because the artificial sweeteners somewhat coat these receptor sites and we just can't absorb the glucose. So 3 reasons. I said 2, but I gave you a bonus one. That's the 3rd reason. So folks, if you're consuming these artificial sweeteners, they're in gum, food, fizzy pops, energy drinks, those Walden Farms syrups. Guys, with this information, my objective is to share with you so then you can make an educated decision whether you want to continue consuming these or if you don't want to consume these things. In my experience, I have great results with my body fat percentage and my output at the gym by using regular natural foods. And when I have, for example, my breakfast and I use a little bit of maple syrup, I would rather real maple syrup than consume artificial sweeteners such as sucralose, simply because my body is absorbing the glucose properly and then I'm not consuming any of these artificial sweeteners. And again, I explained 3 reasons why you really shouldn't. So with that information being said, I hope you enjoyed it. Tag a friend, share this with someone. Hey, I just want to share it, so now you can make the decision. In good health and in good spirit.